Right, a very good day to students. For those who don't know me, I am Miss Ngada, or you can just call me Unati. So in this particular session, I want to focus on unpacking what is plagiarism and how can you avoid plagiarism, whether you are a first year student, a second year student, or a third year student. Some of you might be familiar with this particular presentation. However, I feel that it is very important to record this again and emphasize why it is important that you avoid plagiarizing at all times, because it is a little bit concerning that we still have large number of many cases of students who are found to have plagiarized their work by either copying from another student's exam paper or taking answers from an exam paper that was done a few years ago, or even using artificial intelligence. So in this session, unpack I'm going to contextualize what plagiarism is and how to properly reference your work. And most importantly, how can you as an undergrad avoid plagiarizing at all costs? So let me just start off with a true story about plagiarism. So when I was doing my first year in university, we had a well-established academic who had successfully completed his PhD. And unfortunately, it was found that this academic, now having obtained his PhD, only plagiarized one sentence, just one sentence from his PhD. He was therefore subjected to a disciplinary hearing and was found guilty. And as such, his PhD was rescinded and he was barred from registering at the university and all other universities for 5 years. And this is all because he copied a sentence without due acknowledgement. Then, another scenario, true story, in an exam, from a first year module that had over 10,000 students. When the marking commenced, a marker noticed that a number of papers had the same answers. In other words, verbatim, word for word. And it was later discovered that, this particular answer was sourced from a Telegram group. So someone wrote the answer of that particular question in a Telegram group, and many students copied that answer without due acknowledgement. More than 20 students had copied this answer, and because of that, the scripts were flagged for plagiarism. Some students had paraphrased the answer that was written in that Telegram group without due acknowledgement, and this also resulted into them having their scripts flagged for plagiarism. So the moral of the story is that when you are contextualizing key terms, or when you are supporting your arguments, or defining key terms, or whatever the case may be, it is very important to reference at all times. So what is plagiarism? Plagiarism essentially is the use of information of authors without proper due acknowledgement. So this due acknowledgement refers to citing the author's surname, year of publication, and page number. Now, where it is considered plagiarism is when you are presenting a particular idea as your own original idea or argument, when in fact, this was taken from a published source without acknowledging that source. So that is what plagiarism is. It is basically taking someone else's work, passing it off as your own, and you did not duly acknowledge that person's work. Okay. So for the upcoming exam or even assignments for that matter, it is always helpful to reference from the following tutorial letter. So if your tutorial, if you are asked to define what performance orientation is, and the tutorial letter carefully defines this, and you decided to include this in your assignment, it's very important to reference that source, such as a tutorial letter, relevant journal articles that speak to, for example, whether it is performance orientation, Russian formalism, new criticism, theatrical conventions, and so forth. Books, prescribed books, and online sources. Please remember that if you're going to use online sources in your exam or your assignment, it is important that these have to be credible websites. So in other words, you have to avoid using blogs, Wikipedia, social media posts, and YouTube videos, basically sources that are driven by opinion without providing existing research. Then, when you write your essay or when you're addressing a question, always ask yourself this very, very important question. Where did I find this information? So as you are writing your answer, ask yourself at the back of your head, where did I get this information from? And this is where the in-text referencing comes in. So if you got your information from a book that was authored by one person, this is how your in-text reference should look like. When you are contextualizing a piece of information that is from a book authored by one person, then this is what your in-text reference should look like. And then in your bibliography, that is what it should look like. It should look like right at the bottom. Okay, so please familiarize yourself with how to in-text reference and reference from a book that was authored by one person. Then, if you are writing information or an argument or defining a key term from a book that was authored by two people, then this is how your in-text reference will look like. Then in an essay, for example, where you contextualize something or you state an argument that is from a book authored by two people, then this is how it would look like. Your in-text reference, that's how your in-text reference will look like. Then in your bibliography, it would look like the following at the bottom. Okay. So please remember to also carefully go through the presentation, the copy of this presentation, which I have uploaded online. Then, if you are writing an argument or contextualizing key terms from a book that has more than two authors, for example, it's been authored by 3 people or by 4 people, your in-text reference would look like the following. Kindly take note of how et al. Is written, followed by the correct use of punctuation. Be very meticulous with it. Then when writing it in an essay from that has been sourced from a book which has been authored by more than 2 people, this is how your in-text reference would look like. So you'll see I have provided two examples when in writing a sentence or an essay, and it has been sourced by a book authored by more than two people. And then in your bibliography, it will look like the following at the bottom. Then, to make life easier, okay, you can use either of the following referencing tools. You can use the MS Word referencing tool and set it to Harvard. By using the MS referencing tool, you manually insert your citations and your bibliography, which is based from your citations. There are some students who prefer to use other add-on tools such as Mendeley Cite, RefWorks, and Zotero. Personally, my favorite one would be RefWorks, because what I do when I cite my information or reference information, and essentially working smart and not hard. Then, with the journal article, please remember that if you're going to reference a journal article, it has to be from an accredited journal and not a predatory journal. So please take note of how to in-text reference a piece of information that is from a journal article, which is very much the same as referencing from a book. However, your bibliography would look like the following, which is right here. All right. Please also take note that if the journal paper has two or more authors, use the same in-text reference as the book. All right. Use the same in-text reference as the book. Then, websites. So when referencing from a website, again, this has to be from an accredited web page or a YouTube channel. This is what your in-text reference would look like. Because it is an online source, your in-text reference won't include the page number. However, in your bibliography, this is how the reference would look like. So in your own time, please carefully read how your bibliography would look like if it's a source that is an online source. And this is just a continuation, or let me just say, me again unpacking an online source. So, some important tips on how to avoid plagiarism. In each sentence that you write, you have to ask yourself this very important question. Where did I get this information from? When referencing, you have to reference meticulously at all times, because the assignment or the exam entails offering or providing very compelling arguments, which is primarily sourced from your tutorial letter or prescribed reading materials. Authors of your books, tutorial letters, journal articles, and e-publications have spent many years compiling this work supported by the existing evidence. So to simply use their information without due acknowledgement is not only an insult to these people that have worked extremely hard in generating information, but it also speaks to integrity as an academic and as a student. Please note that if you're going to directly quote from your sources, this is allowed. However, it's very important that you reference it. And then Most importantly, please avoid using predatory websites such as your Course Hero, Assignment Expert, Studycode, Sudoku, personal blogs, YouTube videos, e-notes, SlideShare, SparkNotes, Wikipedia, Stovia, and I would also argue artificial intelligence, because you risk producing false hallucinated information. And when you do that, not only does this speak to your integrity as an academic or student, but it speaks to the lack of effort that you have put into doing this assignment. Also, very important, please don't fall for spam messages on social media and Telegram where they advertise themselves as a guaranteed pass, or if you purchase this, it comes with answers, because these are people who often, whose aim is to basically make money at the expense of your stress and anxiety. What's important for you to know is that, if you are unsure about something, for example, if you're unsure on how to reference information or how to contextualize key terms, you are more than welcome to send me an email or arrange a consultation with me. And that's why it's just very important that you avoid, falling victim into, companies that advertise themselves as, if you purchase this, it also comes with answers, and if you use my services, it's a guaranteed pass. So, what happens if I plagiarize in an exam or an assignment? So, please remember that plagiarism is considered cheating in an exam, and the university has a zero tolerance policy for plagiarism. So, during the formative assessments, you are most likely penalized for copying an answer without jury acknowledgement. However, in the case of an exam, if sections of that exam paper is indicative of plagiarism, then this is what happens. Your script is flagged as a suspicious script. And as such, it also highlights the sections where you have plagiarized and the source you have plagiarized your information from. Thereafter, your paper with supporting documents is reported to the DSAA and kept on record. Your marks are withheld, and based on the evidence, how overwhelming the evidence is, the DSAA will decide on the next step forward, whether it is going to be a hearing, an official warning letter from the university that you have plagiarized. So please take note of the list of works I have cited in this particular presentation. If perhaps you feel you want to have a copy, or you would like to know where can I get this particular source from, again, please don't hesitate to drop me an email. Last but most importantly, thank you so much for listening in today's presentation. Bye for now, and have a lovely day ahead.